Mark Twain took 6 years to write Huckleberry Finn, and scholars have studied his manuscripts, and they see that he's worked and reworked sentences and paragraphs and chapters to get them the way he wanted. So we need to develop a similar mindset. What we write on the first draft certainly will have plenty of room for improvement. So one rewrite's going to have a massive impact on the quality of your writing. The human brain doesn't multitask well. That's why distracted driving is so dangerous. So when we are writing our first draft, we focus on the content. Then we rework our sentences, and then we tackle the organization. After we get our ideas on paper, we apply what I call the meat cleaver to the sentences, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. Okay, read this sentence, and you can see that it's messy. It doesn't read very well, but we really don't have a good idea of how we want to rewrite it, and I'm going to give you 3 simple steps that'll help in that respect. The first thing to do is just to look at the sentence and say, are there words in there that could be taken out? Are there phrases in there that could be taken out? And here we have 2. The first one is just we feel the need to put some kind of introductory phrase into our sentences, and it doesn't add anything, and it makes the sentence harder to read. The second is I talked to a CEO one time, and he said the thing that irked him most was when people applied adjectives to numeric data. You know, a number 10 is the number 10. You don't have to describe it any further. So go through and look and say, are there words in there that I could just chop out and still get the same meaning in the sentence? If that's true, chop them out. And next, look for passive voice. And here we have it used twice in this sentence. Now we have the sentence translated into active voice. And one caveat here, if we try to use active voice with every sentence in a paragraph, sometimes we end up saying, we did this, and then we did this, and we did that, and so forth. So you can probably back off just a little bit and maybe open the paragraph by saying, we did this, or the team did this, and then after that, if a passive voice sounds okay, you could use it. If a sentence has 2 ideas, it's easier for the reader to understand them if they're written in separate sentences. And if it has 3 ideas and they're all stuffed into one sentence, the reader might get confused. So now we've divided those 3 ideas into 3 separate sentences, and it's easier to read. You might note that in the second sentence, I end up saying we again. It would be okay if you use passive voice there and left out the we. Here's a little thought experiment for you to do. Let's pretend that there was a very serious traffic accident on Cumberland Avenue, and you wanted to read about it. And you got a copy of the Knoxville News Sentinel, and you started reading what the reporter had said. And the reporter began by saying, yesterday I was sitting at home, and I had the police scanner turned on, and I heard a report about a traffic accident on Cumberland Avenue. You would say, who cares? I wanted to read about what happened in the accident on Cumberland Avenue. I don't want to hear about your personal life. So that's sort of what we fall into when we start giving the history of our efforts rather than starting with our conclusion. Now, isn't this better? Somebody's going to read this and say, hey, they've got a better method for forecasting. I want to read about that.